for your speech, and I also have a question about the core values that I'm really interested in, human resources and everything. And I'd like to know, like, which one do you think is the hardest thing to set a core value, like for the core values to be strong?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. And I think the question sort of relates to an earlier one where, I think the difficulty lies with the ones that are aspirational. So the one that you're practicing, you are practicing, right? So it's a less of a concern, but the gaps that you see in who you are today versus who you want to be tomorrow, how do you articulate it and make sure you get there? And as you're on the journey towards the, sort of the new you will have moments where you're going to look like you're not practicing what you're saying. And so there's a bit of a reputational risk to manage along the way. But keeping the course to make sure and, do everything that you can to embed them, I think that would be a challenge. And another challenge would be really being honest, with yourself about who you are. I think sometimes companies fall into the trap of believing that they have certain elements that they're living, but are not. And, some companies that sort of speak a lot about innovation may not be innovative enough now. I mean, they might have been innovational 10 years ago. And if they're living in a legacy world, then, they're not being true and being honest about who they are today. So I would say those two challenges, maybe.
Sure.
Thank you. Would you have done something different if you have started your own business, like your own security business, without the worldwide known brand?
I don't think I would have done it that way, because for me.
Answer should be short. Answer should be short.
No, but for me I'm not an inventor. I'm not like a designer or like create stuff. I'm a businessman, right? So for me, it was really about, I'm an entrepreneur. It was really about like trying to find like a brand that I can sell into Korea, or find a brand that can sell internationally. So it was me trying to develop a business that way. That was always a strategy for me when I was in my 20s. I've always had that kind of ambition to do something like that. So for Securitas, I don't think I would have ever, tried to do it on my own. For me, it was always about trying to leverage a brand and trying to convince the brand to give it a shot. And I've tried many times. Securitas is not the first one that I tried. I've actually tried 50 other brands before, and none of them really came to fruition. But Securitas was the only one that Securitas and one other, but I decided to go with Securitas because they had a better value proposition for my market in Korea. But I think I don't know where you're from, Maria. Where are you from?
I'm from Colombia. We have Securitas.
Colombia.
Like I remember back in school, all of the cards are Securitas, all of them.
They're big. They're big in Colombia. They're big in Latin America, and and I'm from the U.S., right? So they're big in the U.S. But the reason why I'm sharing these stuff with you is because when you go back to Colombia, maybe these are things that you want to think about, right? When you want to start your business, bring a brand into Colombia, or take a Colombian brand, to a different country. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity in global entry in terms of new markets, right? So I think from what I'm trying to share is to give you some guidance on some good business practices in the future.
Yeah. Coffee is a good